Oxford Group, the largest Brazilian consulting firm in the United States for over 40 years, presents Economy and You. Brought to you by Lee Ferreira Araujo Law. 3 decades of experience in immigration in the United States.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, dear listeners. Today we will have another program dedicated to looking at the importance of trade associations and the formation of these groups in business development in the United States, and particularly in the regions where they are established. We have invited to this program a person who has an extremely interesting professional life. But more than that, he is taking on a huge challenge, which is the creation of a chamber of commerce in a region that until now Brazilians didn't understand or know existed. Brazilians outside of Brazil, logically. Rodrigo Martinson is an engineer specializing in the software field who will grace us with his presence here today. Rodrigo, thank you very much for being on our program.
Thank you very much, Dr. Carlos, for having me. And it is a pleasure to be with you and acquire a little bit of that wisdom.
Let's go. Rodrigo, you are a successful person, an exemplary academic life with great relevance in your professional life. And suddenly you are there leading a fantastic, extremely necessary project, which is the creation of yet another chamber of commerce in Florida, specifically in a region that until now Brazilians only knew for having a large horse breeding industry in Ocala, and logically the university in Gainesville. Yeah, I'm really curious, what was it that made you decide to step back or take a significant portion of your time that you previously dedicated to your core business activities and then transform that energy into an activity of public spirit, specifically in the creation of a local chamber of commerce? It's quite a shift, isn't it?
Excellent question, Dr. Carlos. Yeah, I believe that the pillar of a human being, right? It goes through 3 main points that we must mention, right? First, it's our capacity for creation, right? Without us setting the environment for our lives, our capacity for creation, we don't have a fulfilled life or a life that we can say we are successful in, right? So first is creation. After that, we have to move on to connection. It's the way we communicate with people, right? Often the way we create generates the opportunity for us to communicate. But when we consider the third pillar, which is essential for a truly successful and deeply fulfilled life, I firmly believe that it would be contribution. It is the meaningful way you give back everything you have built and learned to society itself. And without this vital contribution, I honestly believe you won't have a fully fulfilled life, or perhaps you will always feel that something significant is missing from your journey. It is about leaving a lasting legacy that goes beyond yourself. And it was exactly upon these 3 pillars that the Chamber of Commerce for the North Central Florida region emerged and is now being born. So it is something that we have really been working on a lot in recent months, and we are inviting you to our inauguration ceremony next Friday.
Rodrigo, during the unique opportunity we had to accompany you to present this ambitious project to Ambassador João Lucas, our Consul General in Orlando, you truly presented him and all of us who were present with some incredibly important and insightful information about the region. These are facts which are in general quite little known, even to many of the Brazilians who currently reside here in Florida. It was a truly enlightening moment for everyone involved in that discussion. Can you summarize this information for us, which is very important?
Certainly. The North Central region here in Florida, specifically in the cities of Ocala and Gainesville, possesses, in my perspective, right, hidden gems, hidden precious stones, right? These are Brazilians who migrated to these regions and hold prominent positions in American society as a whole. Yeah, I couldn't fail to mention the University of Florida itself, which is one of the the largest university and the best university here in Florida, where Brazilians work there, right, in a crucial way in the training of new professionals, right? Yeah, not only in the field of dentistry, but also in the field of agriculture and livestock, among other areas that we could spend the whole night here listing the names so prominent in our region here who work directly in the university's educational system. Now, when talking about Ocala, we have there the world capital, right, of the horse, right? And that is where we have Brazilians working in an expressive way, generating there a this economy and taking all the know-how and knowledge that they obviously acquired in Brazil to this region. So it really is a region of great expression, of a very strong impact on the Brazilian community.
I had the opportunity, after being honored with the invitation to be there at the opening of the first little store of Longing, store selling Brazilian goods in the region last Saturday, where about 100 people attended, and to go to that equestrian center, right, which is there, which honestly is unimaginable. But I saw several Brazilians present, including competing in the arena there with people, riders from Germany, Chile, Ecuador, from the United States, Australia, etc. This shows the Brazilian presence in an extremely interesting field of activity from an economic point of view. But beyond that, talking to the people about the formation of the chamber, I realized that just two WhatsApp groups each have more than 400 business owners. This represents an atypical fact for me, right? Or at least not expected in a region so distant from, let's say, other Brazilian centers, as is the case with Orlando, South Florida, or even here in the Manatee region. Yeah, do you feel that entrepreneurial vibe there? What kind of business owner is it made up of?
Look, that analysis you're making is very spot on, because in this region we have a very interesting dynamic from that Brazilian who works in construction to mega entrepreneurs, right? From other areas, both in technology and in the area of the issue of, right, horses themselves, right, in the recycling area, right, in the agriculture area as well. So we have there a variety, right, of skills, right, or proposals there that Brazilians develop in this region, right? Even as you will very well mentioned, far from these large tourist centers, right? Yeah, so it's really something special that our Reggie region has here.
The Chamber has apparently provided a fresh and inspiring new vision for us, the Brazilian people. In particular, after speaking with several other directors, we have confirmed that the official inauguration ceremony will now take place on the 14th of the month, and we are expecting everything to commence promptly at 4 p.m. Where will this inauguration be, Rodrigo?
Exactly. It will be on the 14th now, right? At on Friday at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, just to ratify this information. 5 o'clock in the afternoon here in the city of Gainesville, right? So we will have the presence of local authorities. Our ambassador will also be present. We will also have the mayor of Gainesville together with his commissioners. We will also have the presence of the commissioners from Orlando as well, who have already confirmed their attendance. So it really will be a very wonderful celebration.
Fantastic. And what is your expectation in terms of the Brazilian community?
Look, in this region, it is estimated, right, about 10,000 Brazilians who are located in this axis here, right, Central North. It is really something that has seen exponential growth, considering that let's highlight, right, that the Ocala region specifically is the region with the highest growth in the country, let's say, right? So it hit a 25% growth in 2022 when you look at the population issue, and naturally, part of this growth attracted many Brazilians. So it is really a center that is in full expansion.
Going back a little to the chamber, Rodrigo, you told us that the chamber is implementing an intelligence system or a technological one, right, in such a way as to connect. Give our listener here a detail on how this works and how useful it will be for the Brazilian business community.
Exactly. Yeah, when right a person or even a company decides to look for a partner in the market, people have the difficulty of understanding and knowing who I can deal with, which company is reliable, and it's a pain point that we have observed for some time. And we understood that the chamber could also solve this pain point for the Brazilian community and also the American community. Why not? And there within our hall of members, they can show and make clear what services they provide. However, instead of you having to search for this in a manual way, we have already made available, right, in our already in our operation, an artificial intelligence assistant that will help answer questions not only about the chamber itself, but mainly about the chamber's members, and beyond that, the services that the members can offer. So this intelligence will help identify to anyone who visits our platform, and they will be able to ask a question there using Portuguese, English, or even Spanish. By asking a question to this intelligence, it will provide the answer based on the members and the registrations that we have already received on our portal.
And an important item, if I understood this correctly, this AI, will you also extend it to the right of use for other chambers, or will it be restricted only to the Ocala and Gainesville chamber?
Excellent point. Actually, our intention with this artificial intelligence is to expand it to all the chambers, right? Because here in Florida specifically, right, there are many professionals from companies that offer services throughout the entire state territory here, right? So it is very important to have this connection with the chambers of commerce, where we will locate them chamber by chamber and register these members from that region. And so if a company needs to move to our region or vice versa, a company from here needs to move to that specific region, our system will help make this matching, right, between the services that need to be provided and the companies participating in the chamber.
So, in fact, this will be a support system for the Brazilian business community throughout Florida.
Yeah, initially all of Florida, right? Because we can expand this nationally right here in the United States, and why not worldwide, right?
No, this volunteer service is fantastic, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, using modern technology to really make it easier for one Brazilian to hire another Brazilian, strengthening the economic bond within
Exactly.
of their activities. Congratulations, that is something.
It's a question that comes up all the time in WhatsApp groups. Is there someone who does air conditioning, someone who works with fences? So these questions will be directed to the Chamber of Commerce, where the professionals already registered, right, and the members already registered will receive these leads directly from the chamber.
Wow, fantastic. Congratulations, a fabulous public spirited initiative and surely one that meets the community's needs. Brazilian businesses. On Saturday, then, the first Lojinha da Saudade, a shop selling nostalgic home country goods, was opened there in the region. And the highlight was the fact that it didn't exist before, and it only became viable because of the existence of the chamber. So here are my public congratulations. How is it that in such a short time, the chamber, before even existing, has already started to create a positive environment for the Brazilian community?
Really, I would say it was an excellent warm up, right? This moment where the chamber participated in a public event, right, together with one of its members, is encouraging and bringing this support to the Brazilian community, and especially to the Loja da Saudade. Very well put, right? So it really was something, a special taste of anticipation, right, of what we will still build much more of, right? So people felt kind of, yeah, welcomed. They felt important there. It really generated an impact for this new venture, which will really create a great connection point. And yeah, and it has already been given and open to us, right, that the chamber will be able to make use of that space as soon as it wishes.
Regarding this space, Rodrigo, we were just talking a little while ago about creating a traveling library, right, where the chamber will collect books from its members and leave them for free consumption so that everyone can take a book and take it with them. And in this way, even stimulate education, the reading of Portuguese. How did you see that, Rodrigo?
Yeah, I think it's something fundamental, right? One of the challenges for immigrants here is regarding their next generation, their children. Yeah, and one of the important roles that the chamber must work on and focus on is the preservation of Brazilian culture and even more so the language, right? Our language, Portuguese, must be preserved as well, even though we are not living, right, or operating within Brazilian territory. So this initiative of this traveling library, right, in Brazilian establishments really comes to help a lot and to strengthen our Brazilian culture. I am sure of that.
Fantastic. I'm going to ask you for 15 seconds for our commercial break, and we'll be right back.
For over 20 years, the Leaf Ferreira de Araujo law firm has been providing quality and customized services for professionals, entrepreneurs, and investors coming to the United States. It also represents with excellence companies employing foreigners on a temporary or permanent basis. We understand that each client's case is unique and requires a specific approach. We maintain clear and objective communication with the client. Get in touch to find out more. leaflaw.com.
Rodrigo, speaking a little more about the community. Yeah, really, this region where you created the chamber is an interesting thing. On one hand, it has one of the major focuses of the Let's Speak Portuguese Foundation, recently created, already with 3 classes. And on the other hand, we met a lady there who has lived there for 41 years in the region. Tell us a little more about the community there. How is it that you are also new there, right? You've been there for a short time. Yeah, tell me a little about your experience in building relationships with the community.
Ah, perfect, perfect. Yeah, really, I haven't been there for a long time, right? But as I mentioned earlier, what we've noticed is that it's a hidden precious gem, right? A region that is often left off the map because it's not a tourist route, right? Known as Orlando and other cities here in Florida, but there is a thriving Brazilian community in full growth. And this community, it has obviously been having its demands and its needs, and so I am sure that the chamber will now address and take care of these demands together among its members, and also with the presence of these authorities from the region. We will certainly work together on this so that these demands can be met.
You mentioned authorities present. How did they view the opening of a chamber? Is there any resentment against, or is there support for the expansion of the chamber's activity in the region?
No, on the contrary, what we see and feel through contacts, phone calls, emails it was total support and even an encouragement, right, for this to continue and be something successful. Yeah, considering, right, that organization is everything. Yeah, yeah. When we do something organized, planned, right, and with a very clear objective, everyone wins, right? Everyone wins. So within this context, the local American community obviously observed and received this very gladly.
Regarding the university, of which you are logically an active member, what is the Brazilian presence like at the university? There are many students, many professors. What is the Brazilian presence like at the university in Gainesville?
Exactly. As I mentioned earlier, there are several Brazilians who work directly in extremely important areas, not only for the local community, but for the world, right? It is there where even new technologies are created, inventions, companies that come directly from the laboratory to the market, and of many of these are from Brazilians who work there and are really making a difference in our society. Yeah, as I mentioned, there are professionals and intellectuals there who are responsible for technologies that we use every day and are totally dependent on. Yeah, and other processes that help our daily lives and bring solutions for the development of society as a whole. So it really is a great pleasure to be part of this process and to be involved with the academic area as well.
One more thing, Rodrigo. When we set out to create the chamber in Fort Myers, one of our joys as a chamber was the contact with Abraza, which is an entity that brings Brazilians together there. And from then on, several students have started to have their professional relationship with Brazilian companies with excellent prospects. These are Brazilian companies here in the region that end up hiring students while they are still in the final stage of their studies, and then they become professionals in the management of these companies. Is there in Gainesville the prospect of Brazilian companies also finding students interested in pursuing a career?
For sure, for sure. It is one of the purposes that the chamber will really work on to help the community as a whole, which is the discovery of new talent, right? The new generation. We have a chair, right, a board of directors specialized just in this, in the new generation, where the main focus will be to attract these talents, this new generation of professionals, and make them join, obviously, the companies that are in our list of members. So it is something that we have already anticipated and are working on, right? There's a family connection there because even my brother, he ended up during the time he was studying here, he was the president of Abraza for our region here, from the University of Florida. So it really is something I have firsthand knowledge of at home.
In structural terms, how many directors does the chamber have? And can you mention which directorates the chamber houses within its activity?
Yeah, I believe we are already at a dozen directors, right? And I would like to highlight some very important seats, right, within this group of directors, right? The first one I would say is definitely Fabi's role, who will be taking charge of Brazilian culture and language. The goal is to ensure that this rich heritage is effectively disseminated and preserved, even while we are operating in foreign territory. Another one, super important, the agriculture seat there is controlled and directed by Dilma, who really is a doctor in this area and has, right, great experience, right, where she can help external and even local companies with the issue of agricultural production. Yeah, another super important seat is the one for Tiago, which deals with the environment, right? He, as a major entrepreneur in this field, in the recycling area, has the goal, right, of transforming the waste, which is sometimes thrown away from civil construction, transforming this into new products that are used every day. Yeah, I also believe, right, it's where my area comes in, right, the technology seat. I believe that without technology, yeah, today the world would be totally different, right? We have observed and felt every day how technology will change our way of living, will alter our dynamics of relationships. So I think it is a seat that is really, yeah, fundamental for the development of the chamber as well. And other seats that we could, yeah, mention here, of course, I believe I'm being a bit unfair to those I didn't mention, but yeah, I just wanted to mention a few so that you who are watching can understand the dimension and the depth that the Chamber of Commerce will reach in our region.
Wonderful, Rodrigo. Yeah, for our listener, what is your recommendation with this experience of yours and having dedicated this time to the creation of the chamber? Yeah, what do you say, like, as a conclusion to our program for the audience of Brazilians living outside or inside Brazil?
Yeah, I think I would go back to my initial word about contribution, right? Yeah, when we look at our lives, right, one of the things we cherish the most are our children, right? And if you analyze it, it goes through those three pillars I mentioned earlier. Because you raise them, right? You raise your child, you connect with them, and you contribute for your whole life, right? So this contribution that you give to the life of another, yeah, without thinking about your own prioritizing the other person, is really what makes us feel satisfied or with a sense of mission accomplished. And it is exactly this feeling, it is exactly this culture that we want to develop here at the North Central Region Chamber of Commerce, where we unite, we come together to contribute to one another. This is our idea, and this is the message we want to convey to the entire local community.
Thank you very much for your time, Rodrigo. Good luck with the Chamber's opening event on the 14th at 5 p.m. in Gainesville. Listeners who are interested, please get in touch with us. we will be providing the address because, Rodrigo, we see with great joy the Brazilian community organizing itself, strengthening itself, and creating bonds among itself in the sense that, as we always say, we may leave Brazil, but Brazil never leaves us. Congratulations on your work, on your initiative, and we hope to be contributing through our program to the success of the event we will have now on the 14th.
Thank you very much, Doctor, for the opportunity to be here on Brazil Brazil with you. It really is always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Well, dear listeners, this is yet another example of how the Brazilian community organizes itself outside of Brazil in a positive way, seeking in an official and real manner to work for the community here, and with that, strengthen ties with Brazil, effectively supporting in some way the arrival of more companies that come in their internationalization to find security for their ventures, including in Brazil. Good evening, everyone. We hope to have you with us next Tuesday when we will have an extremely interesting program about another region where Brazilians are located. Good evening, everyone.